Great. Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Sunheim. I'm pleased to be joined here today with Mike Lovett. He doesn't say ASA at the end of his name anymore, but he used to be one of us. So, Mike, thanks so much for joining me. Tell us about, your move from being an appraiser to a trustee.
Yeah, no, thanks, Eric. Thanks for having me. I will say I don't have it here on Zoom, but I am still an active ASA member, even though I guess I'm not technically working as an appraiser anymore. I spent most of my career as an appraiser, but earlier this year I've made the transition to become an ESOP trustee, and then we'll talk a little bit more about what an ESOP is and maybe some common misconceptions in this discussion.
Yeah, so between the two of us, I think we've done well over 1,000 valuations for equity compensation. And a pet peeve of mine is the use of the word ESOP, and it gets misused all the time. So that's basically what this short blurb is going to be about is what an ESOP actually is versus what people think it is. So tell us, what is an ESOP?
Yeah, so an ESOP is a qualified retirement plan that was put in place by ERISA in the early 70s, and it's a form of employee ownership. I think what you had alluded to is we often see it confused with an employee stock option plan, and there's some key differences between the two that I think we can get into.
Yeah, so when you set up an ESOP, it's usually for like an established business generating positive cash flow. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. An ESOP serves as a way for business owners to transition some or all of their equity to their employees. So it'll be an established business. There's some restrictions on what the corporate form must be in order to comply with certain regulations, but effectively, it's a operating business, positive cash flow. Most of these, in my experience, are mature and long-lived, sustainable businesses.
Okay. So there's an entity that's set up, not unlike a trust for estate planning, that then manages that ESOP, and that's what you're doing now at Ventura.
Yeah, exactly. So an ESOP has kind of two important components. It has the plan, which is a qualified retirement plan, and it has a trust. The trust is just like any other trust. It's able to hold assets. In the case of an ESOP, it holds plan sponsor stock. It has a trustee who's the fiduciary. That's the role that my company actually serves, and I'm an officer of the trust. And it has beneficiaries. In the case of an ESOP, the beneficiaries are the employees, all the workers or the eligible workers under the terms of the plan are participants in the trust and participants in the plan and receive, you know, allocations of stock to their accounts over time. I think the key kind of difference between an ESOP and maybe stock option plans is an ESOP is broad-based employee ownership and it's heavily regulated. You can't discriminate on who gets shares. Usually they're allocated by compensation, but you have to include everybody who's eligible. A stock option plan is, and we can talk about what type of business we often see in, but those can be granted, hey, to certain key people will get options to buy stock. So that I think that's kind of the key difference. ESOP's broad-based employee ownership. Stock option plan, I think, is more typically narrower and achieving a specific goal.
Well, and the ESOP's regulated by not only the IRS, but the DOL.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So the ESOP's highly regulated. Stock options, grants, I think are mostly in the purview of the IRS. The ESOP we have the DOL on top of because it's a retirement plan and their filings companies that have the ESOP have to do each year that differentiate it from something like a stock option plan.
Got it. So the clients that we see, I mean, we're up in Northern California, Mike's down in Southern California. We've got a lot of the venture-backed clients that are Series A, they've raised a safe. They're never going to set up an ESOP. What they're setting up is a stock option plan. And those options can be granted not only to employees, but also to contractors And then probably another key difference is what happens when those employees separate from service. So in the ESOP, they just get paid out. Is that right?
Yeah, so ESOP is a retirement plan. So the way you get paid out is either when you retire, the money is yours, or when you separate from service, the company's obligated to buy your vested shares back. But those are qualified dollars, so it's just like if you have money in your IRA, if you take it now or 401(k), you take it now, you have to pay penalties on that if you're not 55 or you're not retirement age. For an ESOP, when you separate, you can roll that money into an IRA, roll it into your 401(k), different than the stock option plan where that money truly is yours to use when you exercise or when you get paid out.
Got it. But once you're done with the company, I mean, there's some sort of transaction and you no longer have equity with the ESOP. A common problem we see for our clients is that is only 60 days to exercise these stock options, but if you do exercise them, then you're an owner in the company.
Yeah.
And we call that dead weight on the cap table. We want to use the equity to incentivize people to generate returns for the company. But if you don't work there anymore, if and you're a former CEO, you've got a sizable percentage, that can be a problem for our clients.
No, that's a great distinction, Eric. Yeah, the ESOP by a mechanism allows the company to purchase back shares from folks who retire or separate. Um, it's really designed to allocate ownership to current employees. Now there's a time frame when that happens, but yeah, there is a mechanism where you can effectively force the participants to sell their shares back or the company purchase their shares back. And that doesn't exist necessarily in a typical kind of stock option incentive plan.
Excellent. So employee stock ownership plan versus employee stock option plan, very different things. I've also heard from an attorney, Rick Randall, he says sometimes people use ESOP to refer to any type of equity comp, like RSUs. So we want to make Mike's life easy. Let him use the acronym, uh, but don't use it for stock options or any other purpose. And if you have questions about ESOPs or stock option plans, please feel free to reach out to either of us. Thanks so much for the time, Mike.
Great, thanks, Eric.